thank yous to dole out, because this has been an incredible, as always, 2 weeks of music making for many of our participants, and a full week, really just 5.5 days of music making. They started rehearsing this on Monday, which is always incredible for me to come into that first rehearsal and think, oh my goodness, it's performances on Saturday. And to get to Saturday, and every year they blow me away. It's never short of amazing in a good way. First off, obviously we need to thank these wonderful participants, these students, for all their hard work, not just the the various groups that you saw, the piano four hands, the woodwind quintet, the woodwind ensemble, the Symphonia, led by Todd Montemayor over there. Todd, raise your hand just real quick. We had 80 students this week for this workshop, and they all gave everything they had to every single second, and we kept pushing them, and they answered. Sometimes begrudgingly, but mostly in kind, with excitement, and with all the energy that we could muster. Actually, I'm exhausted. I don't know how they're even doing anything right now. As usual, this year we have 4 special guests from our sister city, from Jinan. Maybe if I can have them, 2 of them here on stage. Can I have you guys stand up, please? As well as their teacher, Ms. Lee. Ms. Lee, are you here in the audience? We've been doing this for 9 years. We've been hosting students from Jinan, China, and it's always such a wonderful experience. I remember my first year doing this, trying to learn to speak a little Mandarin. And that didn't go well, so, so I did try and do it again after that. They know more English than I could even imagine. They might even know more English than me at this point. Such a good job of doing that. So thank you so much, Mr. It seems like we always forget the person who is in charge of all of this sort of insane cluster of insanity that kind of happens these 2 weeks, and she always keeps the ship going. She manages a staff of, sometimes it feels like hundreds, I'm sure. And Susan Lamcook, let's please. We should recognize mentors. Could you please stand up? Mentors. Have been with us. Maybe some of them might say they've been stuck with us for 2 weeks. They work with us in the week 1 program that is mostly 7 to 11-year-olds. And they're with us the first half of the day, assisting and coaching themselves with the younger students. And so they get a little bit of some experience teaching and working that sort of thing out. And then we go to lunch, and after lunch we have 2.5 hours of chamber rehearsal. Putting together a program that we just finished doing 3 concerts of, Friday, Thursday, and Wednesday. Okay, so they've done such a great job, and the wonderful thing about this program is that they come into week 2 having already gotten to know each other, have built some camaraderie, and exemplify wonderful leadership throughout. So it's always great for me because they're so cohesive, and they are already taking a leadership role. They're already making fun of me, so that always helps when 2 students get really comfortable really quickly. So thank you so much, mentors. Of course, we have our wonderful coaching staff, many of whom are here on stage. Coaching staff, could you please stand up? They make up this program, and it's such an honor and privilege working with them on a regular basis. We always talk about how it's a family reunion every year without all the things that you don't like at family reunions. So it's always wonderful to work with them, and it's so fun to do this. We enjoy coming back every year, in large part because not just the students, but just getting back together and seeing each other year after year. And they put in such good work. And our assistant coaches, can you guys raise your hands just really quickly? The assistant coaches, just raise them nice and high. All of them that kind of pop up here and there needing to perform. We need a last minute coaching. We need something that a student needs a little extra help. They're always ready to jump in. And they have a wonderful stage crew tonight. And they take it so nice for us to be able to let that responsibility lay on their shoulders, and they do a beautiful job. They did one again this evening. So thank you guys so much. Staff, especially Mandy Lastrio. Mandy, where are you? Mandy, probably really busy putting together the reception afterwards. Mandy does a great job. She's the one you're getting the emails from, and she's making sure kids are in the right place, and that everybody's getting their music, and that things are organized. That she is running the ship, running all the operations and making sure things are going on a regular basis, organizing the lunches and everything that needs to happen. So many thank yous to Mandy, of course. The parents putting in, driving their students there to the workshop, listening to them practice. Hours, I hear 3 to 4 hours after every workshop. They go home and they're practicing until the dead of night. And so I thank you for your ears and for your patience as they've grown this entire week. So thank you, of course, to all of you parents out there. A couple more things that we're going to do, but I do want to remind everybody that we have a reception immediately following the concert in room 143 in the hallway out here. There'll be desserts and other goodies to have, and it'll be a chance for you to talk with any of us, other teachers, meet the other students, find your kid, find your child, and meet all of them in that capacity. Before we do that, as I mentioned, it's like a family reunion every year when we come back to SYS. I come from Austin, Texas, and it's so wonderful to fly out here. I grew up in this area, but I've lived in Texas now for 12 years. 12 years. Feels a lot shorter than that, but 12 years I've been in Austin, Texas, and this is my July is SYS. I was talking with some of the faculty earlier this week that we were talking about how much we enjoy doing this, and we can't imagine, what else we're going to do in July except for coaching and working with these wonderful kids and working with each other. It was such a special thing for me because for 20 years I've been a part of this. I started out as a participant, one of these fine musicians. Maybe I wasn't as fine as they were, but I started off as one of them, and I understood from a very grassroots level how important this is. And so I thought it was great for me to start bringing students. So in 2014, I started bringing students here from Austin, and they loved it. They grew so much in these programs. They'd come back making everybody else jealous that they got to fly out to Sacramento, but most importantly, they've improved as players, and it was such an important thing for them to be doing. One particular student was so excited to be here this evening, but wasn't able to, and his name was Draylen Mason. Draylen was a student of mine since 2012 in the orchestra, the heart and soul of our orchestra. And unfortunately, on March 12th, he was tragically, horrifically, and unjustly murdered in Austin, Texas, in the Austin bombings that you may have heard of this past spring. He was such a brilliant musician, but beyond that, he was an amazing human being. He lit up the room anytime he walked in. His little bald head always shining, and everybody could see that happening, and you couldn't stay mad at him, no matter what it was. Sometimes he would take your lunch and hide it for hours. and you wouldn't get a lunch, but you couldn't help but be inspired by his creativity of where he may have hit it. You couldn't help but just love his enthusiasm for music every single day that he came in. I remember he used to say he was one of the Austin Soundwaves faculty and not one of the students, and he would tell other people that he worked with us. And I remember telling him, you know, your time will come, your time will come. And this past year, he had auditioned at several places, including, and had been admitted to some prestigious institutions to study music performance next year, including Oberlin Conservatory, the University of Texas, and University of Northern Texas. These are fine institutions for bass, and he was getting full rights to all of them. And all he wanted to do was play music, and we were so excited, the faculty and I were so excited to look across the stage and finally say, there's Draylen, there he is, he's finally made it, and just look forward to being his colleague and his friend. And we never got to do so. And the saddest part about all of this is that he left so much to the world, and there was so much more that he was going to give. He was going to touch so many lives. There was no doubt in my mind, because besides just being a brilliant musician, he was an amazing human being who would speak up for the right thing, even if he was the only one yelling it in the room. And he would speak for those who couldn't speak for himself, speak for themselves. He was the first to be wrong, the first to remind you when he was right. He was always, he took risks, and he understood how powerful and how meaningful that was for us. One of the things that we did at Austin Soundwaves was, I always ask the players here, is what would you like to play at our next concert or the following year? And he had just played, he was selected to, for 2 years in a row, he got to play with the Take a Stand Festival. It's an initiative of the LA Philharmonic, which includes working with Gustavo Dudamel in a concert at Walt Disney Hall in Los Angeles. In fact, they have a concert the same evening as us this evening, honoring Draylen as well for all of his efforts. And last year, he was so moved by a particular piece that he asked us, you know, can we play this, can we play this? And I kept telling him, you know, it's a little tricky, you know, it's maybe a little bit too much for us to do. We'll see, we'll see. And I told him over and over throughout the year, we'll see. We never got to do it with Dre. We did it at the end of the year concert with Austin Soundwaves, and I thought there was no better way to pay tribute to Draylen and his burgeoning legacy than to perform this piece with us tonight. So the last thing I'm going to leave you with is this. It's wonderful to remember Dre, and it's wonderful to know who he was and what he stood for, but if you could make someone's day, even in the smallest possible way, brighter, every single day. He did it 100 times every single day. If you could do that, that honors him more than anything else that you can imagine. So we'd like to perform for you the Nimrod variation from Elgar's Enigma variations. Thank you.